Why are South Asian men always continuously degraded in the West? It's normalized as hell. Part of it, unfortunately, is memes on the internet. Many call scammers coming from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Random messages on social media from South Asian men being creeps being very common. It's made people look down on South Asian people, and men in particular. One thing I always say is people's stereotypes are local. What I mean by this is local people perceive an immigrant group based on the local immigrants that came over. For example, growing up, any Hong Kong kids I met were rich. I had this stereotype of rich Hong Kong kids. Of course, that's just because there was a large wave of earlier Hong Kong immigration who tended to be wealthier. The poor Hong Kong aren't coming here in droves. Ask yourself which South Asians have normally come to Canada historically. Educated and it people. We get that nerdy part of the reputation there. Also families come in, and that results in the family-oriented stereotype. Large wave of Sikh, Punjabi immigration including laborers, farmers. In say BC a lot of Indians get a reputation of being thugs from that. Picture an Indian man. You don't think sexy athlete, but there are plenty of sexy Indian athletes. It's just not the group of Indians who immigrated here. Similarly, Indians have a reputation of being smart and hardworking. Again, that's just who immigrated. Plenty of absolute brain-dead lazy Indians. You just don't encounter them because they didn't immigrate here. Basically because local immigration meant the kind of Indians people tended to associate with. Indians are thugs, nerds, or family people, depending on which subgroup immigrated into the local area. None of those stereotypes represent sexiness in any way. I've had many creepy encounters with South Asian men. A lot of my friends have as well. Again, we shouldn't judge everyone by their skin color. Unfortunately, this has led to other women in the West to keep their guard up. My ex is Indian. He was a sweetheart actually, but even he warned me never go to India alone as a woman. In which country do you live? For me, I cannot agree to think so or have seen this. Living in Germany, working in an international office, and foreign colleagues are treated very respectfully. South Asians as well as black, other European or American colleagues. So I'm sorry you feel so. Maybe it's something in your environment? # disclaimer. The following is a statement of observations around stereotypes associated with Asian people. It does not reflect the views of the person posting the comment. It's all context-based. What people encounter is what they know. Stereotypes vary from place to place. I can speak to pretty much every part of the US except the East Coast. And the only common stereotypes for South Asian men are: 1. You're Indian, regardless of actual nationality, unless you wear anything turban-like on your head, in which case you're Muslim and Middle Eastern, unless you have a dot on your forehead. Then back to India you go. You aren't considered Asian. 2. If you're determined to be Indian, then you're the IT guy, or you own a convenience store, or you're a doctor, scientist. If you're determined to be Muslim, you're a possible terrorist, and you also own a convenience store, or possibly an ethnic grocery. 3. Indian determination. You don't eat beef. Muslim determination. You don't eat pork. East Asian stereotypes. 1. You're Chinese unless you state otherwise. And even then you're still kinda Chinese. 2. You're good at math, and terrible at driving. You probably eat cats, dogs. You either run an Asian restaurant, or you're a doctor. Alternately, you're some sort of businessman of varying ethical level. 3. You're at least borderline abusive toward your children, and force them into overachieving to increase your own prestige, regardless of the toll on their mental and physical well-being. There are regional stereotypes also. But these are the ones that I have observed to be consistent throughout most of the US. I have not heard of any stereotypes regarding attractiveness for any Asian group, other than the epicanthic fold of East Asian eyes being considered unattractive by some people. But that seems to be more of a personal preference thing, as I have encountered similar numbers of people who find it particularly attractive. I would think the perfume salesman was just saying that as part of his sales pitch to butter you up. You're too attractive. But it backfired. Also, it sounds like you're in England, or some nation in Europe. But to your greater point, yes, it seems like the liberal consensus which you see on Reddit and a lot of major media has decided black people are the sacred cow of oppressed people and everyone else, whatever. I've had that as a South Asian woman as well. Even though I was born and raised in America, they always assume I am Spanish and I get the line of, "Wow, you're Indian? But you're so pretty?" As if I'm supposed to be flattered. Indian women are also the least desirable. Most guys want a Hispanic girl or white. Even Indian guys have told me they prefer them over other Indian women. Not to generalize, but this just another case of a few bad apples spoils the whole bunch. The stereotype is not fair, but as an Indian woman, I genuinely understand if women would like have their guards up around Indian men. I live in India, and when one of my Indian friends went to study abroad, she exclusively preferred having a group of non-Indian male friends. Why? Because Indian men around her thought of her as easy, and called her a feminist whore, since she has a tons of tattoos, piercing, is openly bisexual, unapologetically feminist, wore clothes that is not considered modest by the Indian standards, and was into hookups. A group of them even tried getting her super drunk and did a rape attempt cause they thought, it's not rape since she already sleeps around. It's not that she doesn't have any Indian male friends right now, but she sure does have a much thicker guard up around them, and it takes her a long time to trust them fully. I'm an Indian living in Canada, and whenever I've gone clubbing with my non-brown friends, it's mostly Desi guys, 80% Punjabi dudes from villages, who have done a lot of creepy things in the club, and they've had more weird experiences with brown guys in general, and this has stereotyped them into realizing they don't want to date them. A lot of them hurl abuses in sophisticated places as well. I have also had bad experiences where a guy in my university, whom I used to call my friend, forced me to kiss him at a party but put it on me later saying I forced him, lol. When I used to live in India, I've seen male construction workers masturbating in public by looking at us young girls. Hearing stories from other people also is like a soft warning for them. However, there are a lot of sweet guys too, but they mostly get friend-zoned. It's about pattern recognition. Let's say purple people exist, and every time you see a purple person they beat you up. Eventually, every time you see a purple person you will get your guard up. Not all purple people are bad or gonna beat you up, but after a few times you start to be careful because of past experience. What I am getting at is a lot of people have a lot of bad experiences with South Asian men. Of course, this doesn't mean they are all bad by any means, but eventually people will recognize a pattern and have a wall up. It's just human nature. I understand it is not fair. Try to understand that. Most of the time, it is not personal, and there is just bad stigma associated with South Asian men now. The culture from these places are different, and it doesn't vibe well with the culture over here, it seems. And it's caused an unfortunate stigma for everyone. Asian men and black women share the same fate, lol. Society just doesn't like us. I understand that skin color, place you are from does not dictate who you are. However, in America, I have had a lot of bad experiences with specifically South Asian men. I have been drugged and raped, sexually harassed by my boss, told how I shouldn't be working because I'm a woman by coworkers, groped, and more, all by South Asian men. Most of this happens in the tech jobs I work that have lots of Indian men specifically. I have to try very hard to tell myself that skin color, location of origin is not the reason for this. But it's hard when it's one specific group continues to harm me. I catch myself thinking racist things because of these things that have happened. Because to me it's more than a stereotype. It's what has actually happened to me. This isn't an excuse for the racist behavior of anyone towards you. Just an explanation of my perspective. One best friend is Bengali. He looks like the artist formerly known as Prince in Prince's prime. And yeah, that works real damn well for the guy. Sorry you experienced some racism and discrimination based on your ethnicity. Probably will get downvoted, but men from that area of the world are notorious for mistreating women. I'm not sure what you mean as the West, and I think this is a brown thing. White people don't care what kind of brown you are. We don't even understand the difference. It's just not our thing. For us here in the West, we just don't travel enough or have a big enough worldview. Bengali, Indian, Pakistani, etc. no difference to most of us. Just like to you there is no difference in Irish, Scottish, Finnish, Swedish, German, etc. but we know the difference and we care about it. I will say one thing about creepy or rapist from a Western perspective, particularly Europe, where they have had a lot of immigrants lately. The amount of creepy behavior coming from the men is astounding. I think they, immigrants, see Western women as loose and easy, so they act differently towards them. I asked a friend that is from Southeast Asia and she said it's because they come from a rape culture, which is why women cover up and you need to be escorted. No idea about the validity of that. The scammers and the people DMing women asking for bobs and vegan are ruining it for everyone. As a South Asian woman, it's either a surprise that I don't smell like curry, or I'm completely fetishized by these jungle fever creeps when it comes to white men and dating. Sick of it. Odd. I find many Indians and Pakistani men to be absolutely attractive as hell.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. TooAfraidToAsk is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.